What's going on, Wise Take Nation? This is an MLB DFS podcast. I am your host, Paulie D, and I'm joined by Johnny the Greek. What's going on, Johnny?
Not much, man. Not much. Just played it kind of easy today. Decided, we're on a hot streak and decided to kind of take a day off here playing cash and just did a little bit of tournament play here just to kind of get through the night. But just wanted to, get kind of a day away. Been doing a lot of content lately and playing a lot of entries, so wanted to kind of slow down the day a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to do. We talked about that in the classroom session this morning. Large slates. Unless you have a real good feel for something, we really like to lower our exposure, our volume. Take a stand on a couple things, but definitely play less. It's just unless you're doing 150 lineups, it's hard to cover all the different spots you need. Like, I had 20 lineups and I didn't have anything near a Kansas City stack today. And, 5 minutes into the slate, I knew I was in trouble. But yeah, we had a couple cool things happen. We had a no-hitter tonight. James Paxton, pretty dominant so far, threw a no-hitter. He's from Toronto and went in there and threw a no-no. That was pretty cool. We had a couple good pitching performances. We had the Yankees beat the Red Sox. Shout out to Cash. And, we got 2 slates tomorrow. We got a morning 4-gamer on FanDuel. We got a 6-gamer on DK. It starts at 1. Then we got the main, the usual 7 p.m. Eastern time with 7 games. So before we jump in, let's talk a little bit about pitching. I think there's like a changing in the guard happening right now. If you had to pick your top 5 right now, like a guy to start Game 7 of the World Series, who would you use? I mean, we had Kluber today. He was so expensive. Really didn't pan out. If you used Kluber today, you probably didn't do very well. And it seems like, all the so-called studs or best pitchers in the games have been, fades early in this DFS season. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I think, it's a lot different now with pitching than it was back in the day where, we're running, shorter rotations, or I should say larger rotations, shorter, amount of games they're pitching. And so I don't think they're as conditioned as well as they could be. And then we're always on pitch counts. That never really happened before. I think now, even now this year, we were getting these young guys coming up and they're on a 60, 80, 90 pitch count. So, for me, I always want a stud pitcher that's going to go deep into a game, 110, 120 pitches. And I think the only guy that really still does that is Max Scherzer. So I think like when we really look at it and we look at all the decline from the guys that were up at number 1 last year, or top 5, I should say, I don't think anybody is in the same league with Scherzer. I think the next closest guy would be Kluber, but Kluber is definitely vulnerable to a couple home runs here and there. So I think Max Scherzer is the number 1 guy. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Scherzer is far and away the number 1 guy right now. He'll probably be starting an all-star game. And, if Cy Young was voted today, he'd probably get it in the National League. Or do they do it per league, or is it Yeah, they do. Yeah, so he'd be the National League Cy Young. But what about after that? What's give me your top 5 starting pitchers right now.
Yeah, Kluber had a bad outing, but I still think he's up there somewhere in my top 5. Garrett Cole too. He's been really impressive with the spin rate, if it's real. So I definitely think with what's going on right now, he should be in there in that top 5. I think you definitely have to include what Patrick Corbin's been doing this year too. So it's kind of murky there. And then it's really kind of mixed up there. I think Charlie Morton's definitely in play. Maybe what James Paxton did the last couple of games is in play as well. But you can also include Verlander. So there's I think when you talk about that last 5 spot, there's probably 6 names that could be mentioned in there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Interesting. 3 of those names you had were on Houston. Definitely have a good starting rotation for the playoff run. I agree. Scherzer at the top. Cole would probably be second right now. Third would be Severino. He's really impressed me. Struck out a ton of Red Sox. He's been, electric thus far. Then I'd probably go to Kluber. I know he's, hasn't been as great this year, but it's not like he's totally fallen apart like Dylan Bundy today. But, we'll see. If he continues to give up the long ball and not get in the case like he used to, he won't be on the list long. And then I still got to think Kershaw's, one of the best in baseball. And when he returns from his injury, we'll see how he does. But still got a soft spot in my heart for Kershaw. He's we got to see him really fall off to knock him out of the list. And then Madison Bumgarner, who will be returning at some point. We'll see how he looks, but it's definitely different. Last year had been really easy to say Sale, Kershaw, Kluber, and Scherzer. And, Sale and Kluber are definitely falling off, and we got some new young guys showing up. But let's jump in. We got a bunch of games to go through. We'll start with this early slate. We got to cover this Mets game, which is on the 4-game FanDuel early slate. We got the New York Mets taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Zach Wheeler starting for the Mets. Sal Romano, my cousin Sal, starting for the Reds. We've got a Mets favorite at -117, and right now we've got a pretty big total here, 9.5. What do you got? What do you think here?
Yeah, so is Wheeler going to be like the permanent guy here since they made that trade with Harvey today? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, hold on. We got to announce that, too. Matt Harvey has been traded to the Reds for Devin Mesoraco. Pretty interesting. They were playing each other, and the trade happened. Whatever day Matt Harvey makes his debut for the Reds in Great American Park will be a great day for the
team he's playing against.
Yeah, we will be stacking the opposing team heavily. But I think Wheeler's definitely a mainstay in their rotation for now.
Okay. Yeah, and this is just a really bad matchup for Wheeler tomorrow with a bunch of lefties on Cincinnati. Romano's a gas can. You can take all these lefties against him tomorrow. I don't really like Romano at all. Wheeler's a talented dude, but I don't like him in this ballpark against Cincinnati. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on both the pitchers. I definitely think you can stack up all the lefties here on the Mets, and I think you could do the same thing on the Reds. And I think you don't want to forget, Peraza, is not lefty, but he's been hitting the righties pretty well, and he's, at number 2 here. If you can find him cheap, and maybe on FanDuel, a little bit cheaper, he's definitely in play. So I think you can definitely go like 1 through 6 here, and then if you want to do the wraparound, if you like Billy Hamilton, you can definitely go like a 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, which would definitely be way different and off the board. So maybe a wraparound stack there. And then the Mets, definitely the 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I think I would skip Frazier, and then I would give a shot on my double dong, Adrian Gonzalez again.
Yeah, Frazier, I think I put on the 10-day DL, so he won't be in there.
Okay.
But
he's still in the projected lineup that I have. So
is he? Yeah. He just went on today. It was like a pretty late piece of news. I kind of agree. I think we're looking at the bats here. If even on FanDuel with the 4-game slate, like there's other spots to get arms, and the Mets, Conforto seems to be waking up. You can play Jay Bruce, back in his old park. Adrian Gonzalez will probably be in the top 5. I'm fine with the Met stack, fine with the Red stack. I like Votto. I like Scooter Gennett. You can play some righties too. Eugenio Suarez. Definitely think there's a spot for both offenses. We'll see, how the rest of the 3 games are on this FanDuel slate, if it's my favorite or not. But definitely not looking at these arms. Even, I don't think it's a spot for Zach Wheeler. The Reds don't strike out a ton. So let's move on. We got the Cleveland Indians taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We've got Carlos Carrasco taking on Junior Guerra. The Indians are -147 favorites, and we've got an 8.5 run total. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we're going to look at is a lot of people are going to look at Carlos Carrasco tomorrow against Milwaukee. Milwaukee's definitely a high strikeout team. Carrasco's got electric stuff, but he does get a little wild from time to time. Gives up a couple extra walks. Sometimes he's not efficient in his pitches, and he doesn't go deep into games. So I definitely have interest in him in GPPs. I have to look into it a little bit more for cash, but I think this is going to be a GPP play for me. I saw a couple pitches down at the bottom that I liked a little bit better. I think are a little bit safer tomorrow. But there's tons of upside here against the Brewers. I think he should be fine. There is a couple bats who can definitely get to him. You saw again what the Brewers did today to Kluber. So like Matt, like you can definitely see like Shaw getting to him, Ryan Braun, Christian Yelich. Those are probably the main bats here that I fear. But again, Braun does strike out, and so does Shaw. So I think you can definitely pitch against them. But I think those three bats on the Brewers side are in play. And then Junior Guerra's not a guy like I really love to stack against. He hasn't been that terrible of a pitcher this year. He's been okay. But against Cleveland, it's tough. They have a bunch of good lefties here. So I think you can go with Lindor and maybe like Jose Ramirez, maybe Brantley. I'm not a big fan of Kipnis this year. He's really struggled. But if you do want to stack it, you could definitely go there 1 through 5. But I probably not for me. Probably be like one-offs against Junior Guerra tomorrow for me.
Yeah, Carlos Carrasco has not looked good lately. On this 4-game FanDuel slate, the furthest distance allowed in his last 15 days, 95 mile per hour exit velocity, 42% hard hit. I think stacking the Brewers would be kind of interesting in tournaments. It'll probably be contrarian, as most people are probably going to try to pitch Carrasco. And they've got, it's a hitter's park. They've got some bats that, can definitely go long. Travis Shaw, as you mentioned, Yelich. I'm fine with Lorenzo Cain, Ryan Braun. I think a Milwaukee Brewers stack will be kind of interesting tomorrow, especially on that FanDuel 4-gamer. Junior Guerra, I haven't figured out what I think about him. There's some numbers that say you can look at him, some numbers that are kind of scary. I don't think I'd look to him here. Cleveland doesn't strike out a ton. Their bats seem to be warming up. I kind of like a game stack here. Definitely, I like both sides of both teams for bats. Not really going to look at these arms. So maybe Zach Wheeler does get in the conversation. We'll see. Next game we've got is the Detroit Tigers taking on the Texas Rangers, and we've got a pitcher's duel here. We've got Francisco Liriano taking on Bartolo Colon. The Rangers are minus 122 favorites, and we've got a 9.5 run total here.
Oh, man. Every time I see Bartolo Colon, I just think of him in his one pitch. Like, he's got one pitch. That's it. 89 mile an hour fastball, baby. That's it. That's coming at you. But the problem here is that, I think Cologne might be in play tomorrow at $5,600 on DraftKings. This Tigers offense isn't really good against right-handers. They really do struggle. So with not a lot of pitching options tomorrow, I might be forced into playing him tomorrow. I really don't want to, but it's a high run total. I don't really want to do it, but I could definitely think about it at the price. There's a couple bats that I'm afraid of, but it's really Candelario and Nick Castellanos, but they both don't really hit righties that well. So I don't know. I think I might go there, honestly. I think the rain, and I actually think Francisco Liriano's in play. It's a high run total, but lefties against Texas, Texas righties aren't very good. So I'm not really afraid to pitch against them either. But I don't really like either one of these pitches, as I'm saying. I just think out of a necessity, we might have to go there. But I think Delano DeShields is the guy I like on Texas, and that's probably it. And maybe Profar. That would probably be it for me. And on the Tigers, the only guys I'm afraid of here is Nick Castellanos and Candelario tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think I could go to Bartolo. I'm just, not going to go down that rabbit hole. I think, Liriano, though, is interesting. His numbers have been pretty solid. 88 mile per hour exit velocity, 15% hard hit, 13% line drive. So guys are just not making good contact with him. The distance is 190. Liriano is probably the best pitcher I've seen so far in terms of what he's done recently. And, Texas can strike out. Let's see if I got it.
With the best of them. Absolutely.
We've got Angel Hernandez. So, somewhat pitcher friendly. I think Liriano is the first arm that, I would consider to use on this slate. Like you said, the Texas bats have just not really gotten going yet this year, and not many righties to really be scared of. So I think Liriano is definitely in play. Not going to use Bartolo. Liriano is definitely SP2 candidate on DK. And I'm not going to use Bartolo, but I'm really not going to pick on him much. If I was, depending on the lineup, but it'd probably be Candelario, Castellanos, Victor Martinez, and maybe like a John Hicks if he cracks the lineup. I'm not really interested in the Texas bats at all. Next game, we got the last one on the FanDuel slate. We got the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Chicago White Sox. Trevor Williams taking on Reynaldo Lopez. The Pirates are minus 109 favorites. And we've got a 9-run total. What do you think about these pitchers? Can you use them?
Man, no. No pitchers here. Trevor Williams is not good, but he's right-handed, and we know that White Sox do struggle against right-handed a little bit. But there are some lefties in there that are pretty good. We'll go there. But first on the Pirates side, I really think that the Pirates are too cheap tomorrow for this matchup. Ronaldo Lopez does have some talent. He's not a complete gas can, so it's not really a guy like I'm in.
There's
I think at the price though, I think the price probably Liriano is the best bet.
Yeah, I think he's got the most strikeout upside, but he can get rocked too. I mean, he's not the safest guy in the world out there. But if you're playing that FanDuel slate, I think it's Liriano or Lopez. Sure. And you're looking at the bats from the Brewers, the Mets, and the Reds. I mean, I don't mind like a mini stack here from the White Sox. I like Daniel Palka, rookie with power. You mentioned Yolmer Sanchez.
Sure.
You could play Jose Abreu against a righty. That's fine. You want to throw Nicky Delmonico in there. It's fine too. He's been pretty cold, but we know that there's talent there. And, I doubt that I find my way to a Pittsburgh stack and, probably would consider Lopez as a pitcher here. So if I did play anyone from Pittsburgh, though, it'd be Corey Dickerson, Polanco, and Josh Bell, maybe like a 3-man lefty mini stack. But that's going to do it for the FanDuel 4-gamer. Not too pretty. The Mets game is not on the DraftKings slate, but the last 3, the Cleveland, Milwaukee, Detroit, Texas, and Pittsburgh White Sox game are on it. And then we have 3 more. This next game is in Wrigley Field, and we've got a 15-mile-per-hour wind blowing out. Probably looking at offensive chalk on this slate. We've got Wei Yin Chen going for the Marlins, taking on Jose Quintana. Right now, the Cubs are minus 222 favorites. There is no total because of that wind, but expect it to be a high one tomorrow, probably 10 to 11, somewhere in that range. If this wind holds up right now, I've got a 15-mile-per-hour wind blowing out to left. What do you got here?
Yeah, so 1 second here. So yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the Coors game's on the slate, right? I'm gonna look at the all-day one here. The Coors Angels game, is that on this DK slate?
Yes, it is.
So yeah, so this is gonna be probably the alternate game here to pivot off of the Coors game. It's probably gonna be a high total here. Jose Quintana, he's been really hit or miss this year, but I think on a slate where we're really looking for pitchers, he might become our default best option here against a really bad Miami Marlins team. Miami's their power's on the lefties here, so I'm not really afraid. Besides JT Realmuto, I'm not really afraid of this team here. So I think Jose Quintana's probably a go for me tomorrow on the slate. There's another arm that I like a little bit better here, but he's definitely in the running here. And I think you can throw a bunch of bats here on the Cubs side against them. It's going to be really popular. Again, I think it's going to be the pivot off of Coors Field. So, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 1 through 6 easily. Happ has been heating up a little bit, so maybe we could throw him in. And then on the Marlins side, I don't have any interest in Chen, but it's just Real Muto tomorrow for me, and maybe Martin Parada. But that's it. No other guys to really like here. And you can get Elmore really cheap tomorrow, so he can definitely help you either create a stack here with the Cubs, or you can add him into your Coors exposure tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, with the wind blowing out, I think I like this Cubs spot a lot. Wei Chen is predominantly a fly ball pitcher. That doesn't really match up well. And the righties at the top of the order have been pretty hot. Bryant's heating up. Javi Baez has been crushing the ball. You can play Anthony Rizzo because you expect
I
Chen
don't
to
think
get
Baez is going
knocked
to play
out.
tomorrow. I don't think he's
Yeah,
going to
it's
play
true. He
tomorrow.
does have a Q tag.
Yeah.
If not him, maybe we get Addison Russell. But I definitely like the Cubs bats, regardless. With the wind blowing now, pivot off of Coors against a fly ball pitcher. Definitely like Chicago Cubs bats, and I would include the lefties too. Expecting Chen to get knocked out, and then you're going to see a bunch of righties out of the Marlins pen. But definitely like the Cubs bats. Marlins bats, not so much. I mean, I could see going with Real Muto Prado, Castro's former team. But I actually don't mind Quintana. He's mostly a ground ball guy, and he's looked decent of late. Hard hit rates down, the exit velocity is low, and the ground balls are about 50%. So I think you can get away with going Quintana here. Although, as you mentioned, on DK, there is another arm we're probably going to be looking at, and it's going to be hard to pair Quintana with him. So probably just tournaments only, definitely not a cash game play, and the Cubs bats are all in play, in my opinion. Next game, the Coors Field game. We got California Angels and Jamie Barria taking on the Rockies and Tyler Anderson. The Rockies are minus 144 favorites. And we've got an 11.5 total for this one. What are you doing here?
I just don't understand how, and what I do understand, never mind, but, well, hit or miss here. But the Angels, I don't know how they're a run underdog here against a bad lefty. I think the Angels are going to win this game tomorrow. Like, I think both pitchers are going to get shelled. Both offenses are going to get to them. But I definitely think the Angels have a better lineup here. I think the righties are going to crush this guy tomorrow. I think both sides are in play tomorrow. I think you can game stack it. I think you can do stacks just of each side as well. But no pitchers tomorrow. Everybody's in play.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. For this DraftKings slate, maybe we do need to start looking for some cheaper arms because you're gonna want to load up.
I got it, dude. Bartolo Colon, baby. Bartolo Colon, baby. I'm telling you, like, he's gonna get more juicy to you in the morning when you want to play these guys.
Yeah, I don't know about him, but maybe we'll see. Barria, this is his second start this year. Didn't look too impressive that first start, and I believe he
got shelled by the Giants.
Yeah, but he did keep the ball on the ground. Not much fly ball. It was a really small sample, and the hard hit rate was up there. Giants not a formidable opponent. Probably a tough spot for this kid. I'll take a look at his pitch repertoire in a second and see if he throws a lot of breaking stuff because that's trouble in Coors. And then, I like the Angels bats as well, but man, they're priced up on DK. I mean, you're looking at 6.4 for Trout, 4.8 for Upton, 4K for Kinsler. You're gonna have to get some cheap arms if you want to stack this up. Definitely they're all in play. The Angels can get very righty here, but you might want to grab some of these bottom of the order guys, get different. Chris Young, if he makes the lineup, Martin Maldonado, Zach Cozart. You're going to need some of those slightly cheaper guys to fit in a full stack. And then on Colorado, you got to like Blackman, Arenado, Cargo. LeMahieu's Parra, they're fine too, but probably just those core three in the middle there, Blackman, Arenado, and Cargo for me. And I do favor the Angels side as well. Definitely going to be really popular with the 11.5 total, but probably for good reason. I don't think these last two games we have on this slate are really going to be big offensive spots, but hopefully we got some cheap pitching. So the next game we've got is the Houston Astros and Garrett Cole taking on Daniel Mengden and the Oakland A's. The Astros are minus 163 favorites, and we have a 8.5 run total. There is a 12-mile-per-hour wind blowing out to right field. You pitching Cole tomorrow, or you going to fade him and pay down so you can load up on bats?
I'm not sure yet here. I got to look into it a little bit more, but I like Cole tomorrow. Like, again, this is a great opportunity for him. Great matchup for strikeouts. The Astros might be sneaky tomorrow. with Daniel Magadan is a terrible pitcher. I think with the wind blowing out tomorrow, the Astros might be a low owned stack. That's a little bit cheaper than Coors Field. That can maybe even compete with all those runs tomorrow. So I think we want to take a look at this a little further. I definitely have some interest as of right now in this, just looking at it first look. But I'll look into it a little deeper. But it looks good to me right now.
Yeah, I mean, Cole at 13.4 is tough. We'd like to keep two pitchers under 19K, and you're going to need a guy at 6K or less essentially to pair with
Cologne.
Yeah, Cologne just keeps popping up. I think he's definitely your cash game guy, but in tournaments, I think the play is going to be to fade him and pay down and get some bats on the slate, because when stacks go off, in the wind in Chicago or in Coors, one pitcher can't catch you up to the rest of the field. So I think in tournaments, you're definitely going to look to do a double pay down at pitcher and load up on some bats. I don't love the Astros in this big park, and although Mengden's not a great DFS pitcher, he really limits the damage. He doesn't get blown up all that much. I don't think I'll have too much exposure to the bats on either side, and I'm not going to look to play Oakland against Cole. Just not enough upside, I don't think, on this slate. Last game on the DK 6-gamer, we got the San Francisco Giants and Chris Stratton taking on Nick Pivetta and the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are minus 121 favorites, and we have a 9-run total. What do you think here?
That's on the late slate. It's 7:05, right?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I am sorry about that. That is the late slate. So that Houston Oakland game is the last game on the early slate. All right. Man, so it's you got Mengden, don't really want to go there. You got obviously not going to Weech, and Liriano, Bartolo, those guys in the White Sox-Pittsburgh game.
Quintana.
Man, this is a tough early slate if you want to get bats in your lineup, especially the good ones like Trout.
Yeah. Trout's 6,300. I mean, that's 6,400. That's
it's almost too expensive.
It is. I don't think I've ever seen anybody over 6K as a hitter. I think it's the first time I have.
I think I've seen it, but it's very rare. I think you might have seen Judge get over there last year in some prime matchups, but it's definitely rare, and that's so expensive. He's really got to go off to pay off. If you're playing,
got to hit a couple homers. He's got to hit a couple.
You don't have to play Trout, is what I'll say. It'd be nice to get him in. If you got a lineup that you like, great. But take him out, play someone else. I think you'll be fine.
And that's why maybe this Coors situation might be lower owned because of the arm situation. There's really not a lot to pay down for. So it's tough. Tomorrow's definitely looks like a tough slate, especially in cash.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going Cole, the cheapest options are Trevor Williams at 6'7" or Cologne at 5'6". It still doesn't leave you a lot of room to fit guys like Trout and Arenado and whatnot. So it'd be interesting. There'll be definitely a mixed approach tomorrow. Guys relying on pitching and stacking some of the bottom of the orders in these spots, or contrarian stacks, and then guys paying down a pitcher and loading up on these bats. But actually, kind of a nice slate. Tough one though. All right, so let's move on to the night slate, the main. As I mentioned, San Francisco Giants, Chris Stratton taking on the Philadelphia Phillies and Nick Pivetta. Phillies minus 121. What do you got?
Yeah, so I think Nick Pivetta is okay here tomorrow. He's cheap. I think he's a good price here. There's always a couple lefties in there that can get to him, but they're hot or cold. They're just not a really consistent bunch of hitters. So you get Belt here. You have Crawford on the Giants side and Gregor Blanco that can get some hits here. Maybe Bell hits a home run or Crawford hits a home run, but that's really it. Hanson's been really consistent. He's cheap at 3,000, so I think it's a guy you can play against him if you're looking for a cheap salary saver at second base or shortstop. But other than that, not really interested in the Giants. I have some interest in Pavetta at his cheap discounted price, and I think you can definitely take some of these bats here against Stratton. Stratton's not a terrible pitcher, so I don't. It's not really a big stack I want to do, but I think you could take Herrera tomorrow, maybe a shot on Nick Williams, and definitely Hoskins is always in play. Maybe Cesar Hernandez too, but definitely not a full stack for me. Maybe a mini stack. Again, I don't think Chris Stratton's the worst pitcher on the slate.
Yeah, I don't think I'll go Stratton, but I don't think I'll pick on him much. Pavetta at 6'9" on DK, I will look at as an SP2. The Giants have been striking out this year. He hasn't looked great so far. It'll be, like more of a tournament type play, but I think you could look at him. He could get back on the right track here. Giants really just don't go off all that often. If he gets some strikeouts going, he could pay off his salary. Let me see if I got an umpire for this game, because that could help. Pavetta's a guy you want to have a good ump on your side. Decent pitching-friendly umpire. So I think Pavetta's in the conversation, but there's a bunch of good arms on this slate. So I think this game's more of a cross-off than anything else for me.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Like, unless you have to go there, or if it's just last guy in kind of thing, I understand. But I think there's going to be better options out there.
Yep. Next game, you got the Boston Red Sox and Rick Porcello taking on the New York Yankees and Masahiro Tanaka. The Yanks are minus 170 favorites, and we have a 9-run total. What do you think about this spot?
Yeah, so these are both pitchers that I, in general, don't really like to pick on. It is a big rivalry game, so I don't know if it's a spot I want to take some pitchers here in general, just because I think there's going to be some runs scored. I'm just looking something up here real quick here, but Porcello's looked a lot better this year. He's looked like he's in his Cy Young form from a couple years ago. He looks a lot better. I think for me, I'm just gonna not go here. I think I'm gonna leave this one alone. I think there's definitely some guys here on the other side on the Red Sox that can give Tanaka a headache. So I don't think I want to take either pitchers. I don't really want to play a lot of bats against the pitchers though. In general, like maybe like a couple one-offs here, but not a stack for me. I think against Porcello, maybe we go like Brett Gardner, maybe Didi, Aaron Hicks, the lefties with power. And then on the Red Sox, JD Martinez, Hanley Ramirez, and then Mookie Betts, probably the bats I like here the most. So that would probably be it for me. It wouldn't be a full stack. It would just be either a mini stack or just a couple one-offs.
Yeah, I don't think I want to pick on Porcello a ton either. I could see the Red Sox bouncing back here. It's a little expensive, so I don't know if I'd pitch him either, but I don't think I'll have a ton of Yankees tomorrow, unfortunately. If I did, though, I'd go right back to the studs. I don't care lefty-righty against Porcello. I think I'd go right back to, like, Judge, Stanton, Didi, Sanchez. But I do like the Red Sox bats against Tanaka. I think Tanaka is, pitching over his head a little bit, and this is a spot where I could see the Red Sox getting to him. When Tanaka gets hit, he gives up the long balls. It's a small park, and Tanaka gives up the long ball to the righties, and the Red Sox can get very right-handed. Betts, Hanley, JD. We got Bogarts back, so I'm a little concerned tomorrow for my Yanks. I do think I'll have some Boston stacks. So far, my favorite spot for offense on this slate. Next game we got is the Kansas City Royals and Eric Skoglund taking on the Baltimore Orioles and Andrew Kashner. The Orioles are minus 123 favorites. How do you think they respond after getting shellacked today?
I don't know, because these are two really bad pitchers. I think both offenses are in play again. I think I definitely prefer the Royals a little bit here. The power here with Moustakas and Perez and Duda, I really like that. So I think this is going to go low owned, but I think you can definitely go there against Kashner. And then I think I like some of the Orioles bats here too. Trey Mancini, Adam Jones. Always Manny Machado. You can always play him, but Scope's back here, so might give him a shot tomorrow. And then maybe Mark Trumbo. But yeah, I definitely think you can go here tomorrow. You got a guy like Danny Valencia that hits lefties pretty well. That's always buried in the order, but you can always get him on the cheap. So if you're looking for a value play, you can definitely go there. But it's really for me. It's just some of the bats here. None of the pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Eric Skoglund enters the SB2 conversation for me. Orioles struggle versus lefties, and they are getting healthy, and they are back at home, but maybe they're a little scarred from last night. And, it's a possible candidate for an SB2, not definite, but someone I'll consider. I think you got to take a look at the Royals' bats. They're heating up. They went off today. They could easily go off tomorrow. You definitely want lefties against Cashner, so it's going to be Moustakas, Duda, maybe even Alex Gordon for value. He hit a home run today. But definitely
a rare home run. Yeah,
definitely Moustakas is going to be a
monster,
a targeted guy at third base that we can look at in this small park. Waiting for that Orioles team to wake up. Maybe this is the spot against this guy, but I'm not sure. We'll see. But he's cheap. He's 5'3". I could definitely punt. I don't mind taking lefties against the Orioles. Next game we've got the Seattle Mariners and Wade LeBlanc taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, who got no hit today, and Jaime Garcia. The Blue Jays are minus 114 favorites, and we have a 9-run total. You have any interest here?
Yeah, in the bats here on Toronto's side against LeBlanc. I think they can definitely get to LeBlanc. I don't think he's a great pitcher. Seattle, you can definitely take some of the bats here. He's done pretty good here. Jaime Garcia's done pretty good with allowing, not getting. I would say not allowing things, but
limiting the damage.
He's been limiting the damage. Yes, that's a good way to put it. He's getting up there in age. He doesn't have any great stuff anymore. But yeah, he's a control guy, and as long as he stays in control, he'll be fine. I don't think it's a guy I want to pitch tomorrow. He is really cheap because there are some bats that can definitely get to him here. Very dangerous bats. You got Segura, and you have Cruz and Haniger. You look at those guys alone, can definitely get to him. But I don't know if it's a guy like to stack against. It doesn't really always work for me when I've done that in the past. So I think a couple one-offs here. Not really interested in the Seattle stack. But on the Toronto side, I think a stack against Blanc is definitely in play, especially with Josh Donaldson being back in this lineup. So I like that.
Yep, I'm definitely going to look at the bats here. Both these guys are fly ball pitchers, decent hitters park. I think I favor the Toronto side. Teo Oscar Hernandez has been killing it. Donaldson's back, Smoke, Pilar. I like the Toronto side, and I don't mind the Blue Jay side. The Seattle side either. Not as much. Don't think I'll look at either of these pitchers, although they're very cheap. Maybe we end up looking at one for a punt. Don't think you're going to need it on this slate, though. Next game we've got is the Atlanta Braves and Julio Teheran taking on the Tampa Bay Rays and Ryan Yarbrough, the lefty. The Braves are small favorites, minus 108, kind of surprising, and we've got an 8-run total. What are you doing here?
Yeah, this is probably just going to be really a cross-off game for me. I might take a couple bats here on the Brave side against Yarbrough, Acuna and Albies, but maybe Bautista. But other than that, it's not really a play for me. I don't really want to play any lefties against. I know Tyron's been a hit or miss this year with lefties. He's gotten a little bit better, but I don't really like these Rays bats on the left side. So maybe Brad Miller for cheap, but other than that, I'm not really interested.
Yeah, I agree. Really not interested in the Tampa Bay side. I do have interest in Teheran. I think we could definitely look to him if, the umpire looks good and the lineup's even crappier for the Rays. Maybe they don't play, I don't know. Gomez or something, take a look. Um, Ryan Yarbrough, don't know much on first look. I got to look into what he's got, but I think, some of these Braves bats are definitely in play. Maybe Joey Bats, maybe Kurt Suzuki, Ronald Acuna. You'll probably still play the stud guys like Freeman and Albies. So I'll have to take a deeper look into what Yarbrough has. Don't know much off the top of my head right now, but I think the Braves are in play. But I agree. Like, I'm not like jumping on, crazy to play them right now. I think there's other spots that I like better. Next game we've got final two. We got the Washington Nats and Gio Gonzalez taking on the San Diego Padres and Joey Lucchesi. The Nationals are minus 135 favorites, and right now this game has a 7.5 total. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think a lot of guys are going to flock to Gio just because of the ballpark and because it's the Padres, but I think that's going to be a little bit of a mistake here. The Padres are a much better team on the right side than they're on the left side, I believe. So I think there's a lot of righties that can definitely get to him. In this lineup, besides Hosmer, I think you can definitely look at like Margot tomorrow, Christian, what's his name, Villanueva, Jose Perella. Those guys can definitely get here. If we see Will Myers in this lineup too, becomes very dangerous for Gio Gonzalez. So I don't have a ton of interest in Gio at his price, 11,400. It is, Vegas is telling us this is going to be a low scoring game here. So, that just is kind of telling me to maybe play Lucchesi tomorrow, a little bit cheaper, at home, a good ballpark. So, I might go to Lucchesi tomorrow as a cheap GPP play over Gonzalez. So, I think my interest is in Lucchesi tomorrow and some of the Padres bats. There's definitely some of these guys here in Washington that can get a hold of them, like Rendon and Zimmerman. But other than that, I'm not really worried about this Washington lineup. So it's going to be Lucchesi and the Padres for me.
Yeah, I think both pitchers are in play here. Low total. Padres not too threatening, can strike out. And then Lucchesi's looked really good. And, the Nats don't really do very well against lefties. I much prefer them against a righty, and Lucchesi's been impressive, and the Nats can strike out when they have an off day. So I think both these pitchers are in play, and I'm really not too interested in either lineups for offense. Last game on the slate, another low total. We've got the Arizona Diamondbacks and Patrick Corbin taking on Patio Joe's Los Angeles Dodgers and Alex Wood. The Dodgers are small favorites, minus 117, and right now this game has a 7-run total. What do you think?
Yeah, and Alex Wood's actually a favorite. So on the Arizona side here, Patrick Corbin is really expensive, 13-3 tomorrow. But again, these righties on the Dodgers are not really good. It's like a AAA team here with Chris Taylor and the AAA righties that they keep throwing up here. So I definitely have interest in Corbin tomorrow. I think he's a good option. And then on the other side, like Alex Wood, he's way too cheap at 7,600. This is a guy that we were paying 11,000 for last year, 10,000. So I can definitely go here tomorrow, especially with the low totals telling us it's going to be, a pretty tight game here. And my only concern with Alex Wood is he doesn't go deep in the games. So as long as he's controlled and he's being efficient with his pitches, he should be fine here. I don't really have an interest in either one of the offenses against these pitchers. Alex Wood did pitch really well in his last outing, in only 5 innings last time out. He got into like the mid-20s in DK points. So definitely I think they're both viable options tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, both these pitchers are definitely viable. I think if you can get Corbin into your team, go ahead and do so. And Alex Wood is cheap. Don't mind him either. He does have big K upside when he's on. And, not really too excited about these lineups. I do think that, a Dodgers stack will be contrarian on this slate. Could be interesting. I could see them getting to Corbin. He has been getting hit pretty hard lately and has kind of come down off some of those amazing starts he's had recently. So maybe there's some regression coming there, and the Dodgers kind of get right. Grandal's been on fire. Kemp's been hitting all right, And like we know, like Austin Barnes and Enrique Hernandez are kind of lefty killers. So I think that'd be like a contrarian stack. Not my favorite by any means, but just something, to consider to leverage against the field with probably Patrick Corbin being your pitching chalk on this slate. So that's going to do it for the game by game. Let's do a quick Don watch and we'll get on out of here. Got to do the golf show with Cash and DFS. We got a major, I believe, this weekend. So you can do any guy from either slate. You go first, my friend. 3 Don calls.
Any position or
Give me one in the infield, one in the outfield, and then one utility. Anybody you want.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, so no, I'm afraid he's not going to start. Okay, yeah. So my first one is going to be JD Martinez tomorrow against Tanaka. I like that, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I will go with Jay Bruce off of Cousin Sal in Cincinnati for the Mets.
I like it. Yeah, it's going to be Justin Smoke for me tomorrow against Wade LeBlanc.
Nice. I like that. I'll go with Josh Donaldson as my infielder, same game against Wade LeBlanc. Okay. And your utility?
Let's see. I'm going to go with... no, that's not good. Yeah, I'm going to go with... let's see here. I hope he makes a lineup. I'm going to go with Mitch Moreland tomorrow.
Mitch Moreland. All right. We got 2 Red Sox there. I'll take Carlos Gonzalez for my last one. Coors game, Rocky Day game. Everyone knows I got a thing for Carlos Gonzalez against rookie pitcher. So that's going to do it. Thanks for joining us, Johnny. Appreciate you going through these 2 slates with me. Definitely catch us tomorrow on the Wise stream. Grab a day pass. Check out the nation. We are very hot right now. This would be a good week to try us out. Johnny's been killing it with the cash games and multi-sport activity. Cam's cheat sheets have been doing really well. And all the other guys we got doing content, it's just been a good week for the nation. So come on by, check us out. If you are watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and some positive comments. If you're watching us on iTunes or Podbeam, please give us some 5-star reviews. If you're watching on Twitter, on Facebook, on Twitch, please like and share. It helps the nation keep doing what we're doing. So, for Johnny the Greek, for myself, for the entire Wise Take Nation, we are out.
Ship it.
Yeah.